Welcome to ForestsideWriting. For today's episode, got something quite special. Now, we have this branded pen drawer that is clearly on overdrive. So, we got vintage pens, we got a classic Bic Click I already see right here in red. We got these crazy looking novelty pens, some vintage ones. Some of you may remember some of these classics. However, we also have some new ones here. We have these silly novelty ones in here, like this kaleidoscope pen, bunch of brand name pencils, novelty pens, all different here, as you can see. So I would like to know which pens out of this collection write. So now, without further ado, let's get some paper and find out if these pens are alive or dry. All right, so let's go ahead and grab a big handful. Let's see which of these pens write. And I'm going to go nice and fast to not make the video too boring. All right, let's see what we have. Here is Pentec Retracto Brights. Is that right? Nope, that is dried out. Okay, I'm going to put the ones that don't work over here. All right. We have yet another blue Pentec Retracto Brights. This one looks kind of different. Now, I've heard of the brand, but I've never really seen much of these until I started collecting the brand name pens. But that doesn't write either, unfortunately. Let's see what else we have. Oh, a Papermate mechanical pencil, 0.7. That is alive. And at the end, we will pan out, see how many of these ended up writing. Oh, this looks like an interesting one. The Ink R2 Blast Rollerball. Does that work? Oh, that writes so nice. There's another one of these no-name click pens. And that one writes in blue ink. I like these pens. I know they send you these in the mail, like with VFW and St. Joseph's or something like that, but I'm not sure of the brand who actually makes these, so if anyone knows any of that, give us a comment. Here's a Papermate Comfort Mate, which seems to be in red ink. Yes, that writes. Okay. Here is a very nice version of a gel pen. This is the Uniball Signo. Still works. This is a Bic Velocity. This one has a very big tip down there, very fat. Oh, that writes so smooth. Okay, the yes pile's getting big. Oh, this looks like a Zebra Sarasa clip. However, it says J. Harvey on it. Never heard of that. It has the index tip on it, so I don't want to take that off, but still, we'll definitely mark it a yes because it's brand new. Here we have the infamous Papermate Profile pen. Actually has a little tag on the top there, which you don't really see, which means they may have bought this pen by itself instead of in a pack. Turn the cap to the arrow direction, I guess, to refill it. These write really smooth, and you can get them in all the colors available. This is just what looks to be some sort of a vintage red stick pen, maybe perhaps from the government. I'm not quite sure. Oh, that still writes. Very nice. That's an interesting red pen there. This is definitely a classic right here. You don't really see too many of these days. It's no name. Okay, here is just another no-name pen in green. Quite an interesting looking design on there, that extra long tip. Guess that's good. Was a little iffy to start at, but this is an interesting pen. It writes. Oh, here is a Zebra BP. These pens write really good. That one still works. Here we have yet another Retracto Bright pen. That doesn't write. And here we have an orange Retracto Bright pen. Doesn't write. I don't know. I'm going to say 80s or 90s maybe is when these are from, but if someone knows the exact date, you can let me know. Here's a Pentel RSVP RT in green. Ooh, that writes really nice. Okay, that was that section. Let's go ahead and grab some more. There's a lot in here. This video is definitely only for the pen lover. Okay, here we have a no-name red colored pen with a nice big grip. This one seems to be quite worn. Still writes pretty good in black ink. And my pens are starting to fall. Okay. Here is these are rarely popular pens. This is a magenta color Papermate Inkjoy Gel 07. Oh, that still writes really nice. You can see why people love them. Okay. Oh, these are one of the best pencils out there. The Dixon Ticonderoga #2 pencil. Oh, that writes really smoothly. course it writes, because it's a pencil. Okay, here's one of these little cap click looking pens. Advertising World Jewish Congress American section. Kind of hard to read though, because it's so worn. Still writes though. Pretty iffy, but it came. Okay, here is a no-name gel pen. It says absolutely nothing on there. Not enough to be a yes, unfortunately. It doesn't work. Oh, here's just a plain Bic Ultra Round Stick Grip. Quite common. Really doesn't write. Oh, there we go. Just need to get restarted. I was gonna say, this one seems pretty new. Oh, this is a super old Bic. Quite similar to the Bic Accountant. However, it's not an accountant, just is a vintage style Bic. Yep, that doesn't write. Not so shocking. Yeah, just a big old pile of plain pens. Here's a Bic Soft Feel Fine Point, which you don't really see much of. That still works. Another one of these J. Harvey pens. If anyone could tell me what the heck these are, let me know. Ooh, these actually write nice. Quite similar to the Zebra Sarasa Click. And this does not write in blue ink. This writes in black, so I don't know what's going on there. But it is quite a nice pen. Just a copycat. Okay, here is a Pentel Wow pen. Don't know what's going on with the mechanical part of it, but it still writes. Here's a Sanford Uniball Grip. I guess what should write in black. It doesn't really write. Here's a nice looking black pen. Oh, it's for Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. That's a great foundation. Writes a nice blue pen. So I guess if you donate, they send you these. Okay. Here is a plain pen that's missing a piece on the bottom down there. I'm not sure of the brand, but it does write super smooth. One of those like side clicky pens. If anybody knows any of the unknown ones in here that I have no clue what they are, you can let me know in the comments. All right, let's go ahead and grab another handful. This video might be a little long because the drawer is so big, but I'm going as fast as possible to keep it interesting. Here's another profile that still writes in a super nice red ink. Oh, a Bic Atlantis. So these are interesting pens. Look at that. It makes absolutely no noise when you click it. And that writes super nice. Here is, oh, a Bic Crystal. You always love the occasional Bic Crystal. This one looks old, but not too old because it still has the plastic end piece down there, too. Doesn't, there we go. Made its way back. I guess it just hasn't been used in a while. It just might have settled. Ooh, this is a classic Bic Round Stick Grip with the clear barrel. Nowadays, they make them like this, which I honestly hate because they just get clogged. This one, though, is all dried out, probably used out. Probably used up, but these are super hard to come across nowadays. Here is a Pilot Easy Touch Fine. This one seems quite fresh. Ooh, that writes really nice. This looks like an old one. This is a Pilot Better Retractable Fine. This is a nice one. Nice, simple, and elegant pen. That writes really good. Here is just some what looks like maybe a cross pen, but it definitely is not. It is super lightweight. Just like a cheaper alternative. It is missing a pocket clip, so I am unable to determine what brand this is, but it does look very sleek. It writes super nice, and it's like a fine point. Twist mechanism. Still writes. Let's see what else we got. We might have some novelty pens. This is kind of cool. The Pen Racer by Tomy, 2004. Look at that. So I guess you move that, and that brings the pen out. I guess it could double over as a toy car if it doesn't. Oh, wait. Wanted to. I'll give that a yes. And let's see if it... That's super cool. Okay. You gotta love that. Oh, we have a Bic Click in just plain. Doesn't say anything on there. These are super nice. I love the old Bic Click pens. Unfortunately, dried. But people use these. As you see, that one's almost empty. But what's left has dried out. I know there's got to be a way to find some refills because I love the Bic Click pens. Okay. Now, I've never heard of this. This is the Cascade Medium. I have no clue as to what that is. The cap is quite unique. Its design. This one is super old looking. Oh, yeah, that's definitely not going to write. How much ink we have in there. Looks like it was well used, but still has some left. That doesn't work. Okay, here's this novelty leopard stripe pen. Yeah, it doesn't work. Here we have another Pilot Easy Touch. This one has seen some better days. Looks like the pocket clip was ripped off, almost out of ink. I guess it writes. Here we have in Papermate Inkjoy retractable ballpoint 1.0 sky blue. Oh, that writes super nice, that one. I like the colored pens, they're fun. Next handful. Oh, this is one of these type of pens that clip on to your lanyard. Look at that, it's quite interesting, or pocket. Yeah, it doesn't work, but it does have a nice grip. Another Uniball Signo 207. Oh, that writes really nice. These are nice pens. Okay, here we just have a plain red pen that says Zachary on it. Just one of those personalized ones. Doesn't work. Here's a plain half-used Bic round stick. Of course, that's going to write. These pens write good until they run out. Sharpie pen, and this was kind of interesting. Looks just like one of the first ones before they came out with the other one. This one writes in like a turquoise dark color. It writes really, really nice, almost like an aqua. Here we have a nice little festive pen for the Christmas holiday. Writes super nice. Cool. Here is a Pilot Acroball pen. I really like these. I personally use one in purple and green a lot. This one is black ink. Writes super nice. These pens just absolutely glide. Here's a Papermate Inkjoy. Magenta color. That writes really good. I like these pens as well. This is a classic style Papermate Wright Brother pen. Well, not too classic, but probably maybe early 2000s. Doesn't work anymore though. Here's just some cheap design pencil. It still writes, of course. Oh, a Pilot G2 mechanical pencil. Look at that. Still has lead, 07 lead. That writes super smooth. Always interesting how one day it's a pen, another day they make a pencil for it. Okay, here is a Pilot G2 in red. Seems to be running out of ink, but still kind of writes. Another one of these J. Harvey pens. I have no idea what they are. That one has the index tip on there. Evidently it writes blue, but the last time they told me it wrote blue, it wrote black. So, but this one still has the tip. These things really resemble the Sarasa clip version. Another one of these pens. Oh, that writes really nice. Those pens write good. This is some sort of classic style vintage skinny pen. Fisher is the brand. Quite interesting there, pretty old brand. Yeah, that don't write. Oh, this is nice. This is one of those fancy U-brand pens. These write really good. Oh yeah, that writes very nice. We have another Papermate Profile in magenta. Pink, that writes super nice. Another Bic Atlantis. Still writes. What is this thing? Tilt-o-matic? Too worn. Yeah, that's done. I don't know what the heck is happening here. If someone can give me details, let me know. That's silly. Alright. We have one of these Toll pens, T-U-L. These things are just not very good. This one's leaking. All these pens do is leak unless you use them. But when they actually write, they do write very smoothly. But unfortunately, that doesn't work. A Pilot BPS. The lettering has worn off. Yeah, that doesn't write. Yeah, that's done. Here's a Bic Click Stick. Now, this is pretty cool. Definitely use one of these. Let me grab more. Okay. Oh, this is Marvy RB7. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's an Indian brand. I'm not sure. That doesn't work. Kind of a splitting image of the G2 a bit. Books of the Bible, however, the little page that you pull out is missing. Still looks like that was once pretty cool. That still writes. Very nice. I think it's time to move down a bit so you can see. Oh, an orange Bic Click. Fortunately, yeah, it doesn't write. Let's go ahead and see. I know you guys love the Bic Click pens, so that one was well used. I love them too. They're really great pens. If anybody knows ways to get Bic Click refills in 2026, that'd be excellent. Here's a novelty kaleidoscope pen there. Pretty crazy looking. It says a model number, and it says Sheldon, Iowa, whatever that means. Looks like it once might have lit up. It writes super nice though still. Bet this is maybe a sample you can get your name on. Maybe it's a company from Sheldon, Iowa, who knows. Okay, we have just a plain blue Bic round stick. Still writes, pretty nice. This one seems never used really, completely full. Here's one of these quite interesting ones. This is the Marvy Le Pen. Japan, that's what brand Marvy is. Yeah, that's done. That's completely dried out, used out, ripped out. Here's a classic style Bic round stick, missing a cap. That's done. Some of these are just sort of trashy, missing caps and stuff. Broken. Here's some plain red pen. The grip is completely cracked. Doesn't work. I like this pen though. Okay, here's a Clip Click pen. Still writes super nice. Here is an Oh Boy Disney pen. Doesn't work. Here's a Pilot G205. That writes. This is quite interesting. The Pilot Bottle to Pen, the B2P ballpoint. This looks like the older version of it. How come this one's a little bit dirty? It's done. All right, we're kind of getting there, I guess. All right, so that concludes part 1 of testing this old drawer full of vintage to new pens. These are all the ones that wrote, and unfortunately, these guys didn't write. So, we'll see you soon on part 2 here on ForestsideWriting. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
We wrote a story where we knew these, but you ripped it out. I do not feel like I've been torn apart, and I don't know why. We wrote a story where we knew these, you ripped it out. So now it's